Welcome to Rise and Thrive. This is the podcast with leaders who help our communities thrive. And the inspirational stories we hope will move you into more community engagement. I'm Patrice Dayton, your host. My guest today is April Holloway. April is the co-founder of a fairly newly formed group called Wabash Valley Coalition Against Trafficking. We welcome you. Human trafficking is a very tough topic that many people don't want to talk about. I first met April doing a story for WTWO on human trafficking, and you really spoke to my heart about your passion and how you are using that passion to help others in a much-needed capacity here. So thank you so much for what you do and for your coalition. Let's start at the very beginning about how you got involved in this coalition and how it was formed.
First of all, Patrice, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for letting me share what our coalition is doing to help our community. Back in December of 2022, my sister-in-law, April Holloway, asked me if I would volunteer with her with a group called In Our Backyard. And they're an anti-trafficking nonprofit organization located in Oregon. They have a huge program where every year for Super Bowl, they have a task force that goes out to try to, number one, arrest traffickers, and number two, recover missing children. And so each year they have convenience stores that they try to get to partner with them. And they ask these stores to not only post pictures of the missing children, specifically in the area of where the Super Bowl is being held. They ask them to put freedom stickers in their bathrooms. And the freedom stickers just let traffic victims know that there is help. And it gives the National Human Trafficking Hotline number. So in 2023, we volunteered for the Super Bowl being held out in Phoenix. Volunteers from home. So we volunteered from home and did a lot of internet work, made phone calls to convenience stores in Phoenix area, explaining human trafficking, explaining the freedom stickers, asking if they would be willing to partner, post the stickers, take the human trafficking information, and display the missing children. They agreed. So then, the week before Super Bowl, and this happens every year, there are what we call boots on the ground. They go out to all the convenience stores that have agreed, and they post the information, and they share the missing children. In 2023, the year that we did it, there were 36 missing children, and due to this program, 26 were recovered. Wow. And many of them had been trafficked. Most were runaways. Also, over 150 traffickers were arrested. This occurs every year. So I was so blown away by these numbers, I had no idea. And I said, how did I live to be this old and be a nurse for over 40 years and not know about human trafficking? And I asked In Our Backyard, what can I do? What do we do next? And their comment was, well, now we prepare for next year's Super Bowl. And I said, that's not good enough for me. If I don't know that there's trafficking in the community I've lived in for my entire life, I know no one else knows, or very few people know because we're not talking about it. Mm-hmm. May I take the Convenience Stores Against Trafficking program back to Terre Haute and see if I can get our convenience stores to post these freedom stickers? And they gave me their blessings and said, you girls do what you want to do. So Betsy and I came back, and we started putting stickers in bathrooms and working with convenience stores and educating. And then one day I happened to mention to a good friend of mine, Karen Harding, who is the director for Chances and Services for Youth. I basically said, well, you're not going to believe what I'm doing now. And she said, oh, my gosh, I have someone you need to talk to. So I spoke with a woman in town who was a case advisor for a young girl who had actually been rescued in Terre Haute from trafficking. Wow. And that is how the coalition started. This lady said to me, it sounds like you need a coalition. And I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. She contacted CODA, Susie's Place, and other nonprofit organizations. And this was in April of 2023. And September 29th of 2023, we officially formed the Wabash Valley Coalition Against Trafficking. And we've started from there. It's been a lot of prayer. And I say that this is the work of God because I knew nothing about human trafficking. I've had a lot of people praying for me as to what I could do in my retirement years, and this is what God threw at us. And He is opening a lot of doors. A lot of things have happened that I just find unbelievable that we've come as far as we have in less than 2 years.
That's wonderful. You know, a lot of people don't want to admit that human trafficking does happen here in the Wabash Valley, and it's a tough topic that you have said a lot of people don't want to talk about.
Yes.
It needs to be talked about, and more people need to step up to volunteer, whether it's with this coalition that is so valuable or other coalitions. You found your passion, which is wonderful.
Yes.
You're doing something to help the community. What can other people be doing? How can people find that passion? Any advice to somebody who might be wanting to volunteer for your group or for others?
Yes, I can say honestly, well, first I want to say that I am a Christian. I've spent a lot of years in church, but I never prayed about, I prayed, but I didn't pray about what can I do to help the world? What can I do to feel fulfilled in my own life? Because, but as I got older, I realized I need to be serving others and not just making myself happy. And so I had a lot of people praying for me. So you need to talk to others, let them know you want to do something, but you just aren't sure what. And then you need to pray. But most of all, you need to listen, because if you're not listening, you're not going to hear what it is that passion is. If you had told me even 3 years ago that I would be out knocking on doors, asking for help to fight human trafficking, I would have laughed and said, I don't know anything about human trafficking, and there's no way I'm going to go out and talk about something that I know nothing about. And I know more. I have learned so much in the last 2 years that I think can say, yeah, you really can teach old dogs new tricks, because I never thought I would know as much as I do about human trafficking and feel so passionate about helping others. Even if one life is saved from all the work I've put into this, then it brings me so much joy. I can't even explain that.
That's wonderful. Now, a new law was just passed by the Indiana legislature, and it just went into effect July 1st. Can you tell us about this new law?
Yes. Indiana passed the law that states that all convenience stores, gas stations, truck stops, any business that sells fuel must display information about trafficking, and they also have to post the hotline numbers. So what the coalition is doing to help with that, we have gone around to convenience stores and they're not aware of the law. Indiana has said that they will not provide them with the information, but they do need to post the information. So the coalition has put together a little packet. We're providing them with freedom stickers to display in their restrooms, and another flyer that actually gives the definition of human trafficking, the definition of sex trafficking, and labor trafficking, so that everyone's aware of the differences in the two, and then numbers that you can call for suspicion of trafficking. Most importantly, we want them to understand that we have the support in this town of a lot of people, and especially our law enforcement. And they don't want you to be afraid to call. If you are suspicious, just call and say, I suspect human trafficking. They would rather you be wrong and have made that call than to not make the call and have endangered maybe someone's life because you were right, but you were too insecure to make that call.
Sure.
So they're very supportive.
What most people don't realize is that human trafficking is happening. You know, you think of the movies. It's not like the movies. Let's take away that vision that everybody has of human trafficking is just like in the movies. It's not like that at all here.
It's not. We do see some trafficking where, in fact, one young girl was trafficked up from another country. But what we see, and a good example will be in November, there's a trial that will be at our federal courts here in Terre Haute, that a local girl was trafficked by a 28-year-old man out of Chicago. He found her on social media. And we call it, they go fishing and then they reel these kids in. I don't know the background, but when kids are lonely and sad, they see that and they start feeding them information of, you're beautiful and I love you and I want to be part of your life. And then they make them believe that they're going to be their boyfriends. And in this case, this young girl was taken to a motel where she was trafficked. And our local law enforcement found out about it, made the arrest. because he came from Chicago, it became a federal case, and he's going to the federal courts here in Terre Haute. He was arraigned in August of 2023, but his trial is finally going to be this fall. So that's an example of trafficking that we see. We also see familial trafficking. And as your interview with the other April 2 weeks ago, she was a survivor of human trafficking, and she explained her story that she was trafficked by her family, and that's the numbers that we see. It's horrific to think that a mother, a father, or a grandmother would traffic their child for drugs, for money, or for whatever tangible items that they're getting by selling their children. But that's what we're seeing. That's what we need to have our eyes open to. I think we tend to judge people when we see them. We see addicts on the street and we say, oh, just another meth head, just another addict, and they get what they ask for. But we don't understand, why are they an addict? And April explained her story very well, because she was drugged in order to be trafficked, in order to sit through the torture that she was being put through. So we may have so much more out there that we aren't even aware of, because we don't step up and ask, are you okay? Do you need help? Is there something I can do for you? And I think as humans, we need to start looking at others as human beings and what their life may be and how we can step up and help them.
You know, you said it so eloquently, and that's what this podcast is about, people stepping up, whether it's to help or to make the community better, to get involved in civic engagement, to run for election of something. We need more people to step up. What do you see out in the community of getting people to step up, getting people to volunteer? Can you give us any insight of what you're seeing?
Well, we're having a difficult time getting volunteers. There are a few of us that go out and do most of the work. We talk to people. We know we're opening eyes, and people are amazed. And just like I said, I was shocked to know that it was in the community. But I don't see people willing to take a chance. You know, if you don't know about human trafficking, trust me, you can learn. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know about homelessness, someone's willing to help you learn. If you don't know about domestic violence and the help that they need in their shelters, or reach out and ask, how can you help? How can you partner with someone? Because there are people who need us. I think we all get so comfortable in our lives, and we're not all made of money, and we travel and see the world, but most of us have a good life, and even if we're just sitting home and reading books and spending hours on social media, how are we benefiting others by that? I think it's time to get up off the couch, get out of social media. There's a lot of hate being spread on social media. We can help stop that by getting out and doing good in the community. And the less time on social media I find, the better I feel. Sure. So I think helping others and getting out and monitoring what's going on is going to help. But we have to get out of our comfort zone. And that was a huge step for me. But I think that's key.
Just taking that first step is key.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yes.
Now, the convenience stores, this new law of putting the freedom stickers in convenience stores, they're being pretty open to this, or being
They are being very open to it. Actually, we went out this week. Betsy went out, and she had several of the stores say, hey, I saw Patrice with your interview, and it was great, and we've got our stickers up. Good. So, yeah, it's opening eyes, and we're getting comments from people and positive feedback back. Bucks Marathon is getting customers that are saying to them, oh, man, that interview really opened my eyes. So, again, thank you for that. But thank you for those businesses in town that are willing to display and step out of their comfort zones. Our goal is that we would have every public restroom, not just convenience stores, display freedom stickers so that women, children, and men know that there is help out there.
Are you going to start putting them in the men's room?
Once we finish the campaign with the convenience stores, then we'll move to the next step. If we get more volunteers, if we get more people off the couch and out of their comfort zones, and we can get out and do more, then absolutely we want to start that. Sure. We are actually also partnering now with Lamar Billboards. They have reached out, and they're a huge international company, but they have had billboards around the country on against human trafficking. So they have stepped up, and they're going to partner with us in this area to see what we can do together. So I'm very excited about that. So yes, businesses know, they're aware, and they're going to step up and help. And I think that is going to be huge for this area.
Just getting that hotline out there that folks know, girls and boys, that there is help available.
There is. And I think the thing that we have to realize with human trafficking is it's one crime organization that does not discriminate. They don't care if you're young, if you're old, if you're black, if you're white, if you're male, if you're female. If you're available, if you're lonely, if you're a target, they're going to take you regardless of your background.
Okay.
So that's something we need to be aware of.
That is. Let's talk a little bit about your philosophy of leadership. You have become a leader, whether you wanted to or not, just by stepping up, starting an organization that this community needed. Do you have a philosophy on leadership, what people should think of leadership?
Well, I think that leadership just needs to be a part of. We don't want to stand alone and be ruling what's going on, but we want input and cooperation, and we want to be involved. So by being boots on the ground ourselves as leaders in the coalition, we're not just out there, I guess you would say, setting the program, setting the rules, setting the guidelines, but not actually participating to see how involved it is and how the community reacts. Just like in any business, you've got to know what's happening in your business in order to lead your business. Sure. So as leaders, we need to be out in the community and participating.
Wonderful. And we all make failures. We all make mistakes.
Yes.
But that's how we learn. I'm
Absolutely.
sure in your short 2 years with this coalition, not even 2 years, you've made some mistakes.
Yes.
That you've learned from.
Yes.
What does this coalition see going forward? You want to get the freedom stickers out. Are there other things? You're going to do more Super Bowls, perhaps?
Well, what the coalition, our goal is education and awareness.
Okay.
We would like to grow into what we call a regional coalition. Indiana Victims Trafficking Assistance Program, ITVAP, is the state level for coalitions. They oversee statewide coalitions. We don't report to them, but we were able to reach out to them for guidance. Mm-hmm. And now we have become part of their umbrella. So we are under their umbrella, which opens us up to federal funding. There will be some funding available to local coalitions by partnering with ITVAP. And eventually they are looking to have regional coalitions who would also have connections in law enforcement to where we would have a task force, kind of like you would see in the Tampa area, to where we continue as a coalition to educate and increase awareness, but the task force piece of the coalition are the doorbusters, and that would go out and do the arrests and respond to calls of, hey, I think there's trafficking. So there's a lot of growth for the coalition, but we're starting with the education and awareness. We have our local prosecutor's office for domestic, is what's called victims assistance department, the Sheriff's Department, the Terre Haute Police Department. We have membership from the Air Force. We have an officer with the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. So we have a lot of people responding to the coalition and attending our calls that once as we grow and they start to form a task force in this area, it's going to be amazing, the things we can do. Internet crimes against children, our local officers, the Terre Haute and the county, also Clay County, and I think Rockville now have officers with the Internet crimes against children, and that's why you're seeing more reports on pedophiles being arrested and child pornography arrests, because they now have the equipment to be on the Internet finding what men are doing and women are doing. So a lot's happened in this area in the last 2 years, and it's mind-blowing, but it's awesome that our law enforcement is stepping up and really moving onto these crimes.
It is awesome. You speak to local churches, to campuses
Yes.
about this. How can somebody get a hold of you if they want to hear your message?
They could email the Wabash Valley Coalition Against Trafficking, and it is wvcagainsttrafficking@gmail.com.
Okay, WVC, which is Wabash Valley Coalition Against Trafficking.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, and I didn't mention that Indiana State University is on our coalition, And there is a gentleman who works there on campus, Justin Wassel, who is organizing a student group. And they will be under the umbrella of the coalition. But their goal is to increase the awareness on campus because we are seeing trafficking on college campuses. So we need those kids to be aware. Those young adults need to know how they can prevent trafficking and how they can protect themselves. So any ISU students that would want to be involved in that can reach out to the coalition or reach out to Justin Wassel at Indiana State University.
Wonderful. And there is a great book, if you're interested at all in reading more. It's called In Our Backyard, Human Trafficking in America and What We Can Do to Stop It. This is a great book to learn more about human trafficking. The Wabash Valley Coalition Against Trafficking needs volunteers. We need more boots on the ground, as you say, to get those stickers in areas. So certainly reach out to April for that. We thank you so much for what you're doing. It was that first step you took in volunteering that's making a huge difference in our community.
Yes, thank you so much.
We appreciate you being here with us. Certainly the Wabash Valley needs more role models like April Holloway and her entire group at the Wabash Valley Coalition Against Trafficking. We hope you will rise and thrive. Rise up and help our communities thrive. I'm your host, Patrice Dayton. We hope you have a great day.